Hello again and welcome to another Mordian Glory Old World video, and we are doing an after action report. I have with me my partner in crime, Salty Simon, and we are doing a little bit of a bonus video, a wrap up straight after our battle report. Now if you haven't seen that battle report, there will be a link to it at the end of this video, and we did orcs and gobbos, very much a lot of gobbos, more gobbo than orc, versus Bretonnians, and it was a little bit rough around the edges. You know, we had some unpainted models, some things that were on the old base size because I'd pulled them out of my shed, essentially. But we also had some cool painted models in there as well. If you want to see how it all goes, I would definitely recommend checking it out. It was a blast. But what we thought we would do is do a little after-action report. Quick 10-15 minutes. Me and Simon, we can talk, especially myself. We thought we'd have a little 10-15 minute after action report, just going through step by step the different aspects of the game and giving our first impressions. Now, I want to put a big caveat on this before we get into it. We are still learning the game.
Yes.
And we've probably got a few things wrong, and there might be a few interactions here that we are ill-informed on.
Yeah.
But we muddled through it, I think. Probably like 95% of people are going to muddle through it. Just get the dice rolling, get the models going, and fly by the seat of your pants and do it on instinct.
Yeah.
So, the first thing I want to say, Simon, is we had a little chat about the Bretonnians at the end of the bat rep, but how did you feel about the faction as a whole? And specifically, on top of that, how did you feel the army-wide ward save, the prayer?
That was really, really good. I'm still trying to... I guess if you're facing off against an Empire list with a load of cannons, going second might be...
Dodge.
A bit dodgier, but actually, you know, there was zero... I mean, if I'd have started at front, I would have wanted to go on second anyway. Because
you want to let them come to you so you can get the charge off.
Yes.
So you're saying that in the majority of cases, you'd always pray?
Yeah, I don't, you know, unless you fire a massive gun line that's going to be blowing you off.
And even then, you want your 5 at ward save against it.
Yeah, so...
Yeah.
So, yeah, I you know, again, the first game, it'd be interesting against a more shooty faction, but I wasn't, you know, 18-inch range on your short bows and one, you know, even if you'd have killed 2 or 3.
One bolt thrower wasn't a problem. Yeah. Well, speaking of, there's 2 things I want to talk to you about there, which is like shooting and ward saves. The first thing I'm going to ask you is, how did you feel about the ward saves that you get on top of armor saves, rather than like in 40k where you get one or the other?
That's quite cool, to be fair. It's just like a feel like pain, isn't it?
Well, you can get regeneration on top of that.
Wow. Okay.
So you can have a unit that has an armor save,
yeah,
a ward save, and a regeneration save.
Nice.
So it's pretty tanky.
Yeah.
Less lethal overall, I would say. In some regards, but not in others.
Yeah, I mean, I think... I mean, it was quite unusual to see... coming from 40k, I mean, it's not units not really getting wiped out in combat, but then getting wiped out trying to get away from combat. So that's kind of the switch in your head, that you're not going, all right, I've just been charged, that unit's toast. It's
I absolutely think that the factions that we played, especially the goblins, made it feel like a really classic game, because often the goblins would fail their modified leadership test and die. But I imagine if we did the same game and I bought 50 points of dwarves, where my standard leadership is 9,
yeah,
I'm falling back in good order pretty much every time. I'm giving ground pretty much every time.
Yeah.
And I think that makes a big difference. So I think it might sound obvious, but as a Bretonnian player, I don't think you will be able to expect the game to go the same way every time. Sometimes you're going to charge in and stick.
I think it was, you know, my peasants as well, the men at arms as well, you know, they stuck around longer than I was expecting them to stick around. So, I mean, there was only, one unit I ran down, was there? There was only I mean, to be fair...
A couple of times you didn't, when I just fled away from you, and you didn't quite catch me.
Yeah, but I mean, there was like gobbos in the back, you'd expect that, and the wolf riders. But I mean, that was, you know, there wasn't that many times that, you know, that a whole unit has been wiped out. I mean, I think I fell foul of that more than you.
I feel like my gobbos, it kind of felt like Total War. My goblins were fleeing, but were rallying.
Yeah.
Whereas your knights fled and just died.
Yeah.
They got cut down.
That was just a free dice roll, to be fair.
Now, interestingly, in the final turn, there was a potentially game-changing charge. and you made a lot of Blessing of the Lady saves on it. And just this is a hugely important thing for me, because anyone who watches the channel knows I'm quite superstitious about dice, and I feel like the way you play will feed into the rolls you get. So if you're constantly despondent and think you're going to lose the game, you'll start rolling badly because the energy is just not there. But if you play very much like with piss and vinegar, for lack of a better term, your dice will roll better. And whenever I used to use my Bretonians back in the day, my brother he'd say, "There's no how have you survived that? There's no way you should have won that. How have you made so many saves?" And I always found that when I acted like a Bretonian and I was like, "Fuck it, we're going for the charge, we're going in there. It's a bad decision, tactically the worst decision I could make, but chivalry demands that I go in."
Karma's not always a bitch.
Exactly. And if I genuinely believe that the lady does bless Bretonian players who are impetuous and who ABC always be charging.
Yeah.
Now so we sort of spoke a little bit there about sort of charges and ward saves and stuff. A couple of things I wanted to mention, just from my point of view. Firstly, I really enjoyed the deployment. One of my least favorite aspects of games like 40k is the deployment. It just feels very unimmersive. And in this game, I felt like I was actually rewarded for putting my men down in a battle formation. Not in a big blob behind something, but actually having ranks of men, supporting them with units like trolls, having waves, so having like a wave to take the brunt, and then having a counter-attack with things like squigs and orcs. I felt like I was rewarded for doing that, and it looked good.
Yeah.
It looked... This might sound crazy, because we were using unpainted models and all this kind of stuff. I thought that the battle looked more aesthetically pleasing with unpainted bloody old world than it did with fully painted Warhammer armies blobbed behind bloody ruins.
Yeah, you've not got like every unit hidden behind an L-shaped ruin.
No. It felt right.
Yeah, but I think that's potentially if you get used to playing in competitive 40k, that's where you naturally default to.
True. Competitive old world very well. We might find ourselves with some unimmersive deployments there.
Very possibly. I don't know. It's difficult to say. But I think the thing that stood out for me from the first game, and it reminded me of bolt action in a bit. I think when I play 40k, that it's so lethal that actually your plan can go out the window in turn one. You
can have one turn where you've done everything right and you still get punished.
Yeah, or it's like, well, again with the cards that you're deploying for your turn one, 50% of the objectives you can get, and can you get that and how you do. Whereas actually when I deployed here, I had 2 units to hold my flank, and the idea was to come round the outside and sweep round.
And you did.
It worked.
You total ward it. It was great.
So it was quite nice to see a plan. You're deploying with a plan that you're thinking, I'm going to do this over 2 or 3 turns.
You were planning several turns ahead, and you were rewarded for doing so.
Yeah, and I mean, I know, top class 40k players do that all the time. I get that, and but I think it's a bit easy, and it's a bit like bolt action. I find it easier in bolt action to plan 2 or 3 turns in ahead, because your units have got a chance of being there in 2 or 3 turns.
It's a big deal. They're not just dead.
Yeah, I mean that's I think that's. Be interested to see if that stays, and I think when people maybe start figuring the meta out and going for that actually you do get that bit of opportunity to do a bit more longer term 2 or 3 turns planning, as opposed to can I survive the first turn?
Yeah, 100%. So I 100% agree with that. There was still lethality in the game. It didn't feel like we were hitting each other with wet blankets, but it also felt like you had time. 40k it's such a paradox of a game, because I don't want to spend too much time on that. I want to talk about old world, but on the one hand it feels like everything is so quick and lethal, but on the other hand 3 hours for a tournament per round is just not enough. It's a game that goes at breakneck speed and yet never seems to, and everything dies very quickly, but it never seems to end quickly. It always seems to be going on for ages and take a long time. But like I said, let's go back to Old World a second. The big thing that I think I noticed straight away was that shooting was not great.
Wasn't worth the wear on the dice, to be fair.
I mean, I think your peasant bowman over the course of what felt like 100 shots in the game killed 10 gobos.
About that, yeah.
And my short bows over the course of maybe 50, 60 shots didn't kill a knight. They maybe killed 1 or 2 men at arms.
Yeah.
Combat is definitely where it's at.
Yeah.
Now there will be armies that maybe have an exception to this, like wood elves, who can bring a lot of bows and they've got AP -2. But for me, I felt the strength was the thing. Only being strength 3, so you hit. It's like using las guns. It's like you're only strength 3. You're only hitting half the time at best. I mean, when was that scary?
Yeah.
It's just not. So I felt like the bowmen were good, but anyone that's here thinking full Agincourt time, baby, I would seriously playtest that before you print or buy all of those models.
Yeah, definitely.
I tell you what I did notice though, speaking of the positives of shooting, wow, longbows are better than shortbows.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Holy crap, shortbows did nothing.
Yeah, I mean, problem is, again, it might be matchup dependent, but if you're within 18 inches of a knight's unit, then the chances are
you get one volley and then you're done.
Pretty much. I mean,
that better be a good volley.
Yeah.
But even when I was like, I'd literally shoot, and then I'd stand and shoot and just do nothing.
Yeah.
And anyone who's worried about Bretonnians not feeling tough, oh my god. Mate, a 3-up save is just Gucci. Don't worry about that. Absolutely. Yeah. What I love about Bretonnians is that they've made power armor feel good again.
Yeah, that's one way of looking at it.
It's really nice. So while shooting isn't good, I would say every day of the week that longbows are better. And interestingly, feeding this into my Empire brain, because I want to use my Empire soon, I think crossbows might be better over handguns, because your handguns and crossbows are the same strength.
Yeah.
And yet the crossbows have got 30-inch range, whereas the handguns have only got 24-inch range. Now the advantage of the handguns is your inbuilt AP -1 with armor bane 1, so max AP of 2.
Yeah.
But the crossbows are a armor bane 2. So if you get a 6 to wound on a crossbow, you're the same AP as a handgun. And against most targets, you're fishing for 5 and 6s anyway.
Yeah.
4, 5, and 6s. So I genuinely think just seeing how my short bows were always in danger when they wanted to do something, and your longbowmen spent the entire game just slinging arrows into me, not doing a lot, but doing more than what I did.
Yeah, at least they were firing.
They were doing something.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. And also, I like peasant bowmen. They are cool. So we've sort of talked about deployment. We've talked about shooting. We've talked about... we haven't talked about magic. Didn't do a lot.
No, well, don't put a fireball in a melee unit is my takeaway.
But even like the orc magic, like I got like 1 vindictive glare off, and then you just ward saved it. Oh.
And the Fist of Gork as well, that didn't kill you, only got that on top of one.
The Fist of Gork very almost did a lot and then decided that it wasn't going to.
Yeah.
But it's the scatter.
Yeah.
And you know what's interesting? It would do even less against a unit on the right size base.
Yeah.
Because bigger bases mean you get less hits.
Yes, of course. Yeah.
So, because you spread out more.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's the magic. If we were only playing around level 1s and level 2s, but anyone who's worried about magic in Old World being like the death machine it was in 8th edition fantasy, I would not worry about that even slightly. It's good, but it's not as impactful. But we'll have to get the level 4s out when we get to 2,000 points, and we'll be able to see if they're a bit better. I definitely did notice, though, level 1s... not worth it. That's not, anyone who's theory crafting, like, take 8 level 1s, nah, no way, man. Man, like, it was always having to roll, like, fucking 5 and 6s to get anything off against units. Between like Dispel being such a low level and magic resistance and all these things. No, it's nah.
I need to have a look at some of the spells, to be honest. I think it's I think the difference, if you only got 2, I mean, it's limited to where you can be. I mean, did I only have 1, didn't I?
You only had the 1.
Yeah.
I had 2 and it made no difference. I didn't kill anything with magic the whole game.
No.
And I couldn't use most of my spells. I was in combat most of the time.
Yeah, I think it's where you put it, to be honest, and what spells you use. I don't know that Fist of Morgs or Gorka, whichever one, would have been a little bit sketchy.
Could have easily gone onto my unit and just blown me up.
Yeah.
Which is kind of orky.
Yeah.
So the last thing I would mention is the Orcs and Goblins. Now, I was running a fairly just straightforward list, but they didn't feel... In many ways, they felt Orc and Goblin-y, but in other ways, they didn't feel very Orc and Goblin-y. Because there wasn't a lot of random behaviour. Things kind of just did what I wanted them to do. Because typically, I wanted to charge. So I didn't care about Impetuous.
Yeah.
I just charged. And I was like, well, it's just like loads and loads of gobbos. So if they all die, I don't care, because there's always more gobbos. And the Orcs, I don't care about charging, because I'm an Orc. I'm tougher than a men at arms. I'm tougher than, and I'd rather charge the Knights and them charge me, because I can grind that out a lot better. So I definitely felt like there was a lot of cool stuff there, and they felt like Orcs and Goblins because they were like fleeing and rallying and always coming back and everything. And there was a lot. It was cool seeing like some of the wacky stuff, like Squigs felt great. Super Glass Hammer. Trolls were cool. I ran lone trolls, but I imagine if you took a big unit of those things, Jesus Christ, trolls are good. But I've definitely, I now understand the people that say Orcs and Goblins feel like they've lost a little bit of character because they're not just like squabbling and punching each other in the head anymore. On the one hand, it makes the army much more playable because your plan just doesn't stop when your big unit of orcs just start getting into a fist fight over who's stolen whose loincloth.
Yeah.
But on the other hand, that definitely feels like there's less of it. There's less wackiness, which is good and bad.
Yeah.
You can make plans, but the plans feel normal, straightforward, maybe less orky. I don't know. But overall, I did really, really enjoy playing the Orcs and Goblins, and it was a lot of fun. Standout for me, I like the Wolf Riders.
They're random. I mean, how they won that combat.
Anyone here that would put money on Wolf Riders versus a full unit of Wolf Riders? No, sorry, 5 Wolf Riders versus 5 Knight Errant.
There wasn't 5, there was 4, wasn't it?
It's still 4 Knight Errant.
Yeah.
And, well, yum, 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 in my wolf's tum. There we go. And the Squigs were amazing. But I felt the leadership was shocking. But overall, I really enjoyed it. And whilst there's a bit less, I think I can probably add personality back in by picking some maybe, I don't have any fanatics.
Yeah.
I need to add the weirdness in.
Yeah, definitely.
All right. Well, I think that just about covers it. Simon, do you have any last bits about anything that stood out to you? I guess for the last question now, it says, did you, even with the rules checking and it being your first game, did you feel like the game flowed well?
Yeah, it's just really, I mean, not a bad system to learn. I mean, all right, there's lots we've probably got wrong and kind of, falling back and, the bit with my trying to work out if I could charge round, and that's going to take a little bit of getting used to, I think.
Yeah.
But no, it seems pretty
intuitive.
Yeah, there's a lot of special rules. I mean, I found that when I started playing 30k last year, it's the sheer amount of special rules. I think hopefully, and I believe in these books, the special rules are all in one place instead of 4 different places, which anyone who's
There's
played...
one page, well, that's one page, there's one section of the rule book with the 75 special rules.
Yeah, I mean, anyone who's played Heresy will know that there's like 4 different places where your special rules can be, and it's just like, right, is this in the Raven Guard bit? Is this in the main rule book? No, which part? So that's my bugbear with darkness. But
to give you an idea of how much it's consolidated, even the War magic, which only Orcs and Goblins get access to, is in the main rule book, not in the Orc and Goblin book.
Nice, I like that.
They put everything in one place.
Yeah, definitely think. I mean, I'm sure someone's done it already. Is have a printable card for all the special rules. I mean, I think that would be the I think learning the special rules, trying to get your head round sort of manoeuvring and charging and fire arcs, and the fallback and how that works. But I think once you've got your head round that,
you're 90% of the way there.
Yeah, I think so.
You might miss out one or two things, but it's fine.
And I think the one thing for me is actually look, Knights Errant and Knights of the Realm. I think having that extra weapon skill is huge.
Yeah, it's 5 points more per model.
Yeah, I think that's worthwhile.
So you wouldn't. So even though the Knights of the Realm were the absolute badasses, you still prefer the Knights of the Errant were absolute badasses. You prefer the Knights of the Realm.
Yeah, I don't. I think if the Knights of the Realm were fighting those orcs from turn 2, that would have been over a lot quicker.
Maybe. Yes, because we're both hitting each other on 4s.
Yeah. And then if I'm hitting on 3s and you're hitting on 5s, I think that's. I mean, all right, they complete disprove of the Errant, but yeah, I think that's a big old difference. I think if I was trying to put together a list myself and looking for, I'd be paying the extra 5 points a model. I think.
Wouldn't even think about it.
Yeah, and then you lose that rule. So they were good fun and they're fluffy, and there were some epic moments. I mean, to be fair, they both did really good for me, but I think I'd be paying the extra 5 points, to be honest.
I don't disagree from a tactical point of view. From a narrative point of view.
Oh yeah, rule of cool, definitely.
My Knights Errant will always be my Praetorian armies because they are, I know it sounds crazy, they're my favourite knights just because Knights of the Realm are very just white bread.
Yeah.
Whereas Knights Errant, they're the jazzy whole green, they're the multi-grain, that's what I'm saying, baby. That's what I'm saying. Knights Errant, look, you might not want them to charge, but they're gonna. And it's not going to be great, but they're going to do it.
Yeah.
But like I said at the very beginning, we'll sort of end on this. Every time when I used to fail my impetuous tests in old fantasy, and my Knights Errant would go flying off, and it was like, oh god, this is going to cost me the game. Lady Luck would smile down on them.
Did to me today.
Yeah, they'd smile down on them. And so as against the odds and against the math hammer, the Knights Errant always seem to do more for me just because they forged the narrative and rewarded for doing so.
Yeah.
But this is a completely anecdotal bit of evidence to say to take them. No, I think the Realm was solid, man.
Yeah.
They went from one side to the other.
Yeah.
The professionals doing a good job.
Yeah.
Professionals got stay engines.
They were good fun. And definitely. I was a big. Praetorian was the army I wanted after Dark Elves, but obviously there's no Dark Elves, so...
No, they're fine, you got your free rules and everything.
So, yeah, I know, but it's they're not going to be the models are going to be out, so definitely, for this, it's going to be Praetorians.
I don't know what you're talking about, Simon, but all models are available via the magic of our Lord and Saviour 3D printer.
But no, I definitely, when I was playing, Praetorian was a thing, but there were no models.
And now it's all gravy.
Yeah, there was, I remember, and the old blister packs, and there was... it was a nightmare trying to get a Praetorian army. So, the fact that there's these and, the Knights Who Say Knee.
The Knights Who Say Knee. Well, I'm very excited for more Old World battle reports. I'm very excited. I'm going to be painting feverishly to try and make sure that we have a couple of tabletop armies. We'll look at getting your Gloomspite's movement tray converted over, which would be nice. And then I'll look to get my Empire finished, and hopefully we'll be able to have a cool Night Gobbo v Empire battle in a week or so, maybe 2 or 3 weeks.
Yeah.
We shall see. But that's all for now. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, let us know what you think down in the comment section. These are very much our ill-informed first impressions, but let me know what you have experienced when you've been doing your own games, or whether you've been watching them, playing them, or just reading through the rules. If you enjoyed today's video, don't forget to smash that like button, leave lots and lots of comments for the algorithm, and of course, subscribe to never miss an episode. Would you like to know more? If so, then please consider becoming a channel member or patron. By supporting the channel, not only will you be doing your part, but you'll also be helping me create more content for your viewing pleasure and unlocking a whole host of perks. You get everything from a badge next to your name, custom emojis, but the big one is access to the Mordian Glory Discord server, an online community with almost 2,500 active members. It's always popping off in the MG Discord. We've got channels for army lists, hobbying, tactics, stories, and even a pretty spicy meme section as well. For all you greenhorns that wanted to see the Mordian glory hole, today is your lucky day. And joking aside, I do want to say a massive thank you to all of the current channel members and patrons. You guys are amazing. Truly the lifeblood of the channel. I could not do Mordian Glory full-time without the incredible and generous support of my members. So thank you guys so much. And last, but certainly not least, I want to say a personal thank you to all of my top tier Patreons. These are the War Masters, and they have truly gone above and beyond the call of duty. So a big shout out to Bon Vert, Mad Larkin, Marcus Roberts, Mark Panconi, RJ Scorpion, Swordfish Trombone, John Stubbs, Nick Walsh, Diesel Fox, and August Varney. Thank you guys so much. Your incredible generosity is a massive part of how I'm able to do Mordian Glory full time, and it is a big driving force behind the channel. But I hope you all enjoyed today's video. Thank you for watching, and of course, as always, see you guys next time.